And we're live, brother. How you doing?
Hey, I'm pretty good, man. I'm glad, working man and Travis Acton got in here because for about the first 30 minutes, Johnny Munoz is in here talking to himself. Just talking, man. I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm tired. I feel like I've worked probably, 3 12-hour days over the last couple of days trying to catch up with next week. And I know you're just as exhausted I am. And then I get home and I'm babysitting 3 dogs. So my wife decided she wanted to go out and do some things. Now I'm babysitting 3 dogs. And I got a 16-year-old that decides to ask me, hey, you come in here and say, do you know what curtain bangs are? Which I have no clue what this is. So I'm over here looking up Google images to see what curtain bangs are because she's upstairs cutting her hair. Now I'm scared when Carly gets home here in a few minutes. If she didn't let her know she was cutting her hair, which she says she did, and she didn't know, we're going to have a serious issue on our hands when we get home. So I hope it doesn't happen while we're on the live. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that'd be great content, though. No, that'd be probably the most watched video we probably had since we started this thing in June. But yeah, like you, man, it's been everybody knows they kind of chronicled my job situation over the last couple of months. Yeah, I started that new job. But training is tough, man. It's always grass is always greener. Hey, I can't wait to get there. Can't wait to get there. Can't wait to get there. And then you find that, hey, there's a whole lot waiting on you. These guys probably have experiences just like that. Hey, I want to change the job. I want to go do something new. And when you get there, normally get a shower on these Wednesday lives before after work, before we hop on here. Today was not that day. So yeah, very, very busy. You guys know we're both in the healthcare field. So COVID is still real. Clinton compliance and me with just basically systems and processes with that stuff. But glad to be here tonight. Clayton took some notes recently, the 247.
Yeah, go ahead, Drew.
Go ahead, brother.
We were just kind of obviously going to talk about recruiting rankings update today on 247, kind of just give a quick glance of what happened. I can tell you that it sounds like, there's some smoke there with Bryce Anderson. It looks like he's been phoned to Texas with an 8, which is pretty high, and then some other obviously crystal balls came in right behind him. So I'm feeling pretty good with Bryce Anderson. He's one of these guys that got a ratings bump from 85 on the 247. So this is not really composite, man. This is really 247's own ranking system, but he jumped up from number 85 to 57, which is a huge jump. And currently sits at really number 161 nationally, number 4 safety, and the number 11 in the state of Texas, which I think we'll get a commit pretty soon with him. But I tell you what, man, if you're looking, we'll get into the rest of these recruits, but I think I'm very, very surprised at how Coleman's doing, how Blake Gideon's doing, how Terry Joseph's doing, man, on the recruiting trail. They're out there and they're guns a-blazing, trying to sign all the guys they can, top guys that they can, which I think they were probably the unknowns when you came in with this coaching staff, really the unknowns when it came to recruiting. Obviously, that development piece is still out there with Blake Gideon, but I kind of like where we're at currently right now. I think everybody's kind of worried. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, I just want to talk Bryce Anderson. If guys didn't tune in the last one, most of these guys probably did. Bryce Anderson's my guy, so I'm not surprised. Him along with Devin Campbell, I said, have been my guys watching this current group of offers for this 2022 class that really pop off on film. Again, it's a deep wide receiver class. We know that, but not at all surprised to see that Bryce Anderson took a leap in the 247 rankings. I think it's well deserved, and hopefully we can get it pretty soon. I'm going to ask the producer, because I did see the producer in the chat real quick, because like I said, me and Clint kind of hopped on here. Normally we were able to put the link for this chat or for this live in Twitter. If she would be so kind as to put the link to or one of you guys maybe could help us out, put the link to this broadcast in Twitter and let folks know that we're on. Normally we take care of that before the show, but this little pub. And again, there's 48 guys in here, 23 likes. If you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, probably the fastest super chat we've had, probably in the duration of this show. Jesse, our resident basketball hoops guy, $1.99 for the win versus Kansas season sweep. Don't know if that's happened ever since we've been in the Big 12. Probably has, but I don't remember. But probably first time in a long time we've been able to sweep the Kansas Jayhawks in a season series as far as basketball. And again, came down to the wire, kind of found ourselves in a position where we were down big and then found a way to come back. Kind of opposite of what we did on Saturday. So This team has a lot of talent. They just got to get their stuff together and play like that first of the season Longhorn basketball team. But go ahead, Glenn. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. And it bounce off that. If you're looking at Spike 6 said we need big fellas in the trenches to make that move. You were talking about basketball. And I've seen a tweet from Devin Campbell dunking that basketball, man. There's some athletic guys out there, man, at offensive line, and I think we really have a good chance of landing multiple guys. I think Dewberry dropped a little bit in the rankings after this last rankings update, but he's one of the top offensive linemen, is obviously on our board, along with Banks and Campbell moving forward. I think there was concern. Go ahead, Jeremy.
No, just if you're talking about Devin Campbell being the third best player in the state, you're talking about Kelvin Banks being the sixth best player in the state. You're talking about who did we just talk about? The lineman Dewberry being a top 20 guy in the state again, and we'll talk about it a little bit later in the show how deep this 2022 class comparison to other classes that have come out of the state of Texas. So we kind of said that very early on in our podcast career when we, like, again, I'll go back to the Brockenmeyers, losing the Brockenmeyers. Sky's not falling because we felt like Andre Carrick, Jake Majors, Jalen Garr, Tyler Johnson, young classified linemen were going to be pretty decent coming up. And we knew that the 2022 class was absolutely loaded and deep with offensive linemen. Again, you've seen this group of coaches not just settle on Texas recruits, but go out west and go to Virginia to find probably the best group of 5, 6, 7 guys that they want to bring in that 2022 class.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, outside of obviously offensive linemen, you kind of fear where Malik was going to land, because obviously with no junior season and guys like, guys jumping ahead of him in the rankings with, Cade Klubnik, or didn't jump ahead of him, but guys that had a junior season like Cade Klubnik and a couple of other quarterbacks out there. You're kind of trying to figure out where Malik was going to be at. And to me, it shows that they still think about how talented this guy is. You know what I'm saying? To not have junior film, just 7-on-7, and really he's still that 5-star. So I'm telling you what, with a good, obviously spring season, football season there in California, I think the sky's the limit for him. I think he's not going to do anything but rise in the rankings after this, as long as he's able to play football. Because I don't see him not showing what he did do in this 7-on-7 stuff. So I think the sky's the limit for Malik. And I think he'll be a 5-star throughout the process. Right now, I think he's ranked number 3. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the number 3 pro quarterback in the nation. Then moving on to obviously Evan Stewart, one of the top wide receivers in the nation. He dropped one spot from 36 to 37. That's probably a couple of guys, that probably not wide receivers that probably jumped ahead of him in the ranks to have him obviously drop back one spot. And then you're looking at Armani Question.
Yeah, let me talk Malik real quick. Okay. So going back to Malik, not surprised. Again, we talked about his limited film that we've seen. But if you go back again and watch the 7-on-7 stuff, the quarterback camp stuff with I don't remember who. I know he works for Danny Hernandez out of California, and then I don't know the specific group that he works with, but I know Brock Vandergrift was in there. Caleb Williams was in there himself. That work with this specific group, and they actually follow us on Twitter now. But that group of kids and the drills they go through and the accuracy that they have, and then watching him do what he did on the 7-on-7 tournaments. Again, this Bullhead City one this last weekend was one of the most prominent pylon 7-on-7 tournaments they have annually. And to lead your team on 7 consecutive scoring drives, he was splitting time with another quarterback, 4-star Duffy out of California as well. But just watching the throws he was able to make on time with movement and the film that I've seen before, I'm not at all surprised that Malik is going to maintain that 5-star ranking at this point. And like you said, I really think it can only get better with his ability to play in California in pads.
Yeah, moving forward. And then obviously, another commit, Armani Winfield, number 84, number 16 in Texas, number 12 wide receiver, didn't move very much. And then obviously, Jillian Gilbo remained pretty much stationary as well in these rankings. Your thoughts?
And I do want to talk, like you said, there wasn't much movement from Stewart from 36 to 37. Mm-hmm. There wasn't much movement in Gilbo and Winfield. But what I did read was, although guys, like you said, moved up and around them, is that their ranking went from 94 to 95 and then from 95 to 96. So they classify them as a better football player against what they would say traditionally what that looks like. So their grades got better, but they may not have moved up or around because players around them also had improved by the eyes of those guys who decide these things. But yeah, I'm very happy with where we currently sit. And we've been talking about that for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, Murphy's current rank on 247. If you're looking at the composites, you're looking at Malik Murphy is sitting at. Let me get it to it real quick. I'll tell you exactly where he's at. He sits.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You got it pretty quickly.
Yeah, so right now he sits at number 34 in the nation, number 4 pro quarterback, and number 4 in California. Currently where he sits. He dropped 2 places. Walker Howard jumped ahead of him, and Ty Simpson is 1 ahead of him. So it's really Quinn Ewers, obviously out of South Lake, Walker Howard out of Louisiana, and then Ty Simpson out of Tennessee. So.
Yeah, I want to talk to Lando real quick. He said, but Jeremy, everyone can look good during camps at 7-on-7. No, Lando, yes, everybody can look good, but there's a difference between a Malik Murphy arm talent and other kind of quarterbacks arm talent. Yes, is it easier to throw balls without pads, without pass rush? Absolutely it is. But you could see velocity. You could see the spiral. You could see, like I said, when you take a 15-yard out route from one hash to the other, 25, then 35, and then are able to move with no drop back, 47 yards. It's not – you can look good, yes, but look the same as a 5-star like Malik Murphy? Absolutely not. But, yeah, I would agree that watching him live against competition in a 11-on-11 with pads would cement that. But I'm saying that not every quarterback looks the same 7-on-7, and you can definitely distinguish the ones that have it and the ones that don't. Just my thoughts.
I'm going to read this comment real quick from Timothy Wooten real quick. It said, it seemed like every year that when guys were commit to us early, their rankings go down. I can tell you there's a bunch of fan bases out there that look at the same thing. For me, if you look at Rivals usually doesn't have Texas guys very high. 247 does a pretty good job. ESPN, believe it or not, has, I think, Malik Murphy number 16 in the nation. So ESPN is really what's keeping Malik Murphy up there if you're looking at the composites, not so much 247, because 247 currently has Malik Murphy, I think, in around the 60s, if I'm not mistaken, as far as like number in the nation. They currently have him 63 in the nation, number 5 pro quarterback, and number 6 in California. But I think ESPN has Malik Murphy at number 16 in the nation, which brings that composite to that really 34 in the nation mark. But again, the trajectory is going to go up on Malik Murphy. It's obviously not going to go down. I think as he continues to play, his junior year, and he get into a senior year, you got to think about these guys still have one more season to go in the rankings process. That's how young we are in this actually rankings process at this particular point. And to see where Texas is at, where I think it's ahead of the curve at this particular point, than where they were at last year with the talent they've gotten so far.
And I know the guys that are ranking him, 247 ESPN, Rivals, don't take this into account when they're rating a football player on his potential and his ability. But what I do know currently with Malik Murphy is he has the value to, again, bring top level recruits into this program. He has the ability, again, Clint talked about how great he was in interviews from the time he was in the 8th grade and how personable he is and how much of a leader he is. So the intangibles, not just being a great football player, 5-star athlete, but his ability to bring other athletes from the West Coast and relationships he's built in these 7-on-7 tournaments with the Texas kids as well, is they believe in him as a dude and are willing to follow him. And that's value you get outside of, like I said, position rankings or 5 stars or 4 stars or 3 stars, is that ability for other players to want to play with him. And you did address
Yeah.
Blue being the number one running back in the country. I think we said it pretty quickly.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, and I probably just skimmed by it, but Jaden Blue being the number one, running back in the country according to 247, obviously composite. He's a little bit further, I think, number 4. Malik Brown dropped from that number 1 position. Obviously, he's a commit to Oklahoma. Dropped. To me, that tells you what Stan Drayton's doing. Bringing. You're looking at Bijan, looking at Jaden Blue. He's bringing the top talented running backs, from across, the country to come and be in this running back room. So that obviously tells you what these recruits are thinking about Stan Drayton and what he can do from a coaching point of view. But yeah, that's crazy. And then they're talking about him now on the chat, how he's gone out and been able to recruit and is recruiting these players and get guys lined up to come to the University of Texas. Man, he's like the hype man, and I think you need that. Malik Murphy and his personality, being out in California and trying to recruit these California guys, but he's still having relationships, obviously on the 7-on-7 trail with the guys that he's actually playing with that are from Texas, which I think is really cool. And then when you're traveling around with your 7-on-7 team, you have to run into other recruits that you may not have an opportunity to run into. And guys aren't, these other recruits, man, these athletes aren't, they can see exactly what Malik Murphy and Jaden Blue bring to a team, and you don't think they're not ready to follow them. I think right now, just like everybody else, we can talk skill positions, we can talk defense, but I think really it comes down to, and we talk about this all the time, what's going to happen with the offensive line. When you get the first offensive line domino to fall, to me, that's what I'm looking for. The Andersons, the Allens, these skill guys are absolutely important, and they're going to come because of Steve Sarkisian and his offense. And I think that you have a hell of a defensive coordinator and some recruiters on that side of the ball. But to me, when does the first offensive lineman really drop? To me, that's the most important thing. But I think you've kind of spread a wide net, and I think he feels comfortable with the guys these now offered. Because again, if you look at how slow the offers are going out now for those offensive linemen, I think they feel comfortable with the guys that they're currently talking to right now on the phone. I think that makes a big deal.
You have a legitimate shot. Again, last year's class, 1 out of the top 15 kids came to the University of Texas. So this is in the state, right? 1 out of 15, the top 15. Currently, you have 2 already committed. You're in on Denver Harris's Final 4. You're in on Devin Campbell as the favorite. You're in on Kelvin Banks, who said Texas is his dream school. You're in on Bryce Anderson, who has family and is now Texas as the leader. And then you get all the way to 16. Armani Winfield is your 3rd commitment. So again, we cast a wide net, but inside the state of Texas, we haven't locked it down. But again, you're in on 5 of the top 15. You have 16. They're really looking close at Brian Allen Jr. out of Toledo is the number 18th player in the country. So essentially, you could get 8 out of the top 20 kids come to the University of Texas. And when you're battling Alabama, Ohio State, A&M, OU, I say that that's best case scenario at this point, what we understand. But that's a pretty good place to be in. Again, you're 50-50 on Harris to come to A&M or Texas. But again, I don't think you would have been in this place in the 2021 class. And again, we're going to talk about the depth of the 2022 class compared to the other classes in the last couple of years in the state of Texas as well. But I think we're in a really good spot. Like you said, that first, whether it's Devin Campbell or Kelvin Banks or the kid Connor Robertson out of Westlake or like I said, we haven't even talked about Rice. We haven't talked about Giddens. We haven't talked about the kid out of Malik out of Seattle, Washington, who has a
Ernest Green out of California.
Ernest Green out of California, who's I feel really good about where we're at in recruiting.
Yeah, definitely. And Jeremy, keeps alluding to, the 2022 class and as strong as it is currently, which is crazy. And we can kind of talk about that real quick. If you're looking at classes, me and Jeremy talked about the strength of the 2022 class. And it almost makes up for that 2021 class, transition class you had. You got some ballers in that 2021 class. I don't want to take away from them. But this 2022 class is on a whole nother level based on really the last 10 years, if you're looking at it, based in Texas. Top 247 prospects, there's currently 35 of those guys in the 2022 class. Top 100 recruits, you're talking about 20. So it's really not, and we'll kind of go down and talk about how many of these guys are in the top 50. So really 100 out of the top 100 recruits, there's 20 of them, and then 9 5-stars. So 50%, almost 50% of those guys that are in the top 100, 5-stars from the state of Texas, which is crazy to think about. And if you're looking at the 247, just 247's composite, you're talking about Quinn Ewers, top quarterback, top running back, top lineman. You know what I'm saying? So it's number one in a lot of these positions. I think outside linebacker, I think Harold Perkins may be out of Cypress, Texas. He may be the top outside linebacker in the nation. So, but you're looking at Quinn Ewers as number one. Then you go a little bit further down. Denver Harris, the top, at number 6, the top cornerback in the nation. Number 7, Devin Campbell, top offensive lineman in the nation. Looking at who else we have?
Banks
Harold Perkins.
second.
Top.
Is this
Yep.
so Banks and Campbell make up so Kevin Banks is the second-rated offensive tackle in the country, probably behind Rice, and Devin Campbell is the number 1 interior lineman in the country. So you're talking about 1 and 2 in each of their positions, and you already offered number 1, like I said, the kid out of Rice out of Virginia. And you're looking good for those guys, I think, at this point. But go ahead, Clint. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
I would put it over 50%. Honestly, I would put it for 50% or higher for any of these guys we're talking about currently. I know Harold Perkins is a lean to A&M. Probably going to be a hard pull. I think he's an A&M guy. I think he's always been an A&M guy out there out of South Park. But you're looking at, Denver Harris. There's no reason that we don't have a shot at Denver Harris. There's no reason we can't have I think we're leaning, if not have a solid commit for Devin Campbell. I just don't know when he's going to pull the trigger. I really believe that. I don't say that a lot, but I have a feeling that he's a solid. Kevin Banks, I think we have, 50% chance better to get him. Omari Obor, I think he said multiple times that Oklahoma was his dream school, but I don't think that we can't not get in on him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Obviously, Evan Stewart is a commit to us. Malik Silla is an A&M guy at this particular point. I don't see him decommitting from there. And then Jaden Blue, who's in the top 10 in the state currently, is committed to us. And then Bryce Anderson on number 11. Brendan Thompson, believe it or not, we had a long conversation about Brendan Thompson the other night, dropped 3 spots. He's currently 27 in the state, according to 247. So they don't have him very high. Cade Klubnik jumped up to number 10 spots there from Westlake to number 14. Kobe McKenzie jumped up. He's the inside linebacker that's from Lubbock that's committed to Texas or to Oklahoma. And then you have Armani Whitfield that's at number 16 there. But if you're looking at top 50 guys, let's just talk about top 50 guys. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You got 10 guys in the nation that are either 50 or higher from the state of Texas.
Yeah, you said it. 10 that are in the top 50, 20 in the top 100, and then 9 that have 5-star scores.
Yeah.
Sky's not falling. This is the class, and you got to take advantage. And I think that may be another reason why the previous administration didn't get another year, because they couldn't allow we know that. They couldn't allow the 2022 class to fail. And bringing a new administration with fresh blood that have, like we said, rings on their fingers, can bring these kids in, and like Sark said, we got to be the best developmental staff in the country. It's not about getting these guys on campus, but taking advantage of the talent they currently have, developing to be first-day draft picks in the NFL is what's going to lead us to Big 12 championships and maybe eventually a spot in the CFP at some point. But
we got a DM today, and somebody asked us. We got a DM today, and somebody asked us, why they don't think they've offered someone that someone that we think they should offer. And I think a lot of it comes down to really personality or your personality fit. Obviously grades is something. Attitude maybe another. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to talk about specific scheme. We're not going to talk about specific recruits, but there's going to be reasons why you're not going to see an offer go out to someone that may be a top 5 guy or a top 10 guy. And I think a lot of it comes down to, like you just said, scheme, fit, personality, culture fit, relationships. It's just sometimes it's not what you think it is. And if you have these recruits that go out there and be, me and this person are going to go to the same school, and they can be highly touted guys, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, I plan on going to school with this guy, but we didn't offer this guy. Well, we may have to miss out on a top guy because you feel like that second guy is not fit for your culture, but you have somebody else that may be just a little bit further behind that first guy.
Or you're talking about guys who played at the same high school that are not in the same classification. Like you're offering a 21 guy, but the 22 guy who's his best buddy, and they've been playing Little League since they were 5 years old. You may have too much depth at that position. You may not feel that you're as comfortable with him as a junior as you would in another position. So you just may want to hold off on that offer. It's not that he's not going to get one, but like Clint said, that's why they try to hire coaches who have specific backgrounds in certain areas of the country, certain areas of the state, certain relationships, so they get the inside intel. They get in the classroom, they talk to the guidance counselors, they talk to the teachers, they talk to the assistant coaches, they find out what kind of kid he is. Is he in trouble? Does he attend class? What kind of grades does he have? Because again, Texas is not an easy university to excel at. So makes perfect sense for me. So yeah, it's just not. Once they get to campus, they got to be able to succeed in the classroom, because the last thing you want is to waste a scholarship on a guy who's academically ineligible. You know what I mean? Because that's another piece of the puzzle. So just my thoughts for the group.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of
there's 95. I'm gonna pub though. 95 people in here, 47 likes. Please hit that like button. We've picked up several hundred subscribers over the last couple of weeks. So if there are new guys in here, please shoot up a hook 'em. Let us know you're new to the channel. Awesome to have you here. Please hit that like button. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please hit that subscribe button. Please go like our Facebook channel, please, or Facebook. What do you call that, Clint? You're better at this than I am. The Facebook page. Handle, Twitter handle, Instagram
page, Facebook page.
Check that stuff out. Like, follow, find out when we're coming on next. No, I'm not calling anybody out individually, but as far as academics, but it's happened before. You bring a kid on campus, he's had an issue with drugs in the past, comes on campus, pops a drug test, suspended for 6 games. Oklahoma dealt with that last year with 3 or 4 dudes being, suspended for drug test failures, not being academically eligible, that kind of stuff. You want to make sure you bring the right kind of kids to your program. And again, that's why I really like Malik Murphy, because he's got the total package. Good kid, great leader, developed relationships across the country with other good kids. And so, yeah.
So I just pulled up the 2002 class. And if anybody can tell me who the number 1 recruit was in the 2002 class, I will applaud you for that.
Was he from Texas?
He's from Texas, 2002 class. But I pulled up this class, right?
Sergio Kendall?
Nope.
No, that's
Vince Young. Vince Young. All right, Vince Young was the number one. Vince Young was the number 1 recruit in 2002 class according to 247. Right, but if you look at that 2002 class, and I'll run some guys, and I'll hopefully there's some other guys in here. They may even know who these guys are. Vince Young, Roger Wright, Justin Blaylock. You signed 3 5-stars in the top 20, right?
Yep.
And then you signed Aaron Harris, inside linebacker, number 51 in the nation. Then you signed number 57 in the nation, cornerback, Adoran McCoy out of Garland, Texas. Selvin Young was number 12. Tweedy was number 13. Dibbles was number 14. And Robert Tiblitz was number 15. Some of these guys may not ring a bell, but I'm going to tell you, out of the top 15, you signed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys out of the top 15 in Texas. And I think it's possible this year to do the same thing. That was really good.
That's what we used to do. And again, Larry Dibbles, Dorian McCullough out of Garland, didn't play very much, a cornerback. Larry Dibbles, an interior defensive lineman from Lancaster, was a solid contributor. But there's not a whole lot of – go down that list one more time. As far as Neil Tweedy was a tight end who caught a couple of balls, but not, he didn't, replace Scaife or Thomas or Finley or any of those guys. But solid group of dudes. But, yeah, that's awesome. But like you said, you own the.
It's crazy because Neil Tweedy actually came in as an offensive. He came in as an offensive guard at 6'5", 260 pounds.
He ended up playing tight end. Yeah.
Number 87 in the nation now. And if you look at it, this class was talented. Literally, you could go all the way down to number 17, number 18 player in the state of Texas in 2002 was ranked 102 in the nation. So you had the top 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We got to show Justin some love. We stopped down for super chats, man. First, he gave us a hook. Said he's new to the channel and then dropped us $5, man. We really appreciate that. Been doing this since June. Really trying to make this channel grow. Again, shout out to Stephen Noddy, Fanatic Perspective founder and fellow contributor to Texas YouTube. He lost his mother recently, so if you guys haven't had a chance to donate, please go check out his GoFundMe to get his brother relocated. But thoughts and prayers go out to Stephen Noddy for Fanatic Perspective. But thank you, Justin, for joining us. Trying to pick up the slack for those guys when they're not doing their thing along with the other guys like Nino's Corner, Orlando, Texas Homer, and the other guys that contribute to Texas YouTube. But thanks for being here and thanks for the $5. We really appreciate it. Jermichael Finley.
Jermichael Finley.
This name, I love this, man. I love thinking about old players and
it's kind of hard to go back there and look at those things because that was a class. Those 2001, 2002 class is what led you to that 2005 national championship. So if you want to look at what your class, obviously your classes and what you need to get back to those, that's probably somewhere to start. If you're looking at the 2001 class, I think 2003, I think we were ranked number 8 in the nation.
But it was consistent. It was consistent. Top 10 classes. Top 10 classes. 18 was the defensive backs. That's the Green, Jameson, Cook, Stearns, Foster, Overshone class. And 19 wasn't a bad class. It was development with that group. Go ahead. I'm
gonna show you development. Here you go. Ready for this? The 2001 class was ranked number 11 in the nation, right? And tell me how many classes can be ranked in number 11 in the nation and beat the starter program for their national championships? You ready for this? I'm gonna give you some names: Cedric Benson, Derek Johnson, Jonathan Scott, Quan Cosby, Michael Huff, Will Allen, Cedric Griffin, and then a lot of like Brian Carter, Eric Hall, LeBron, Young. There was a few guys in there that were scattered in that class, but if you look at their rankings, Michael Huff wasn't ranked.
No, that's my point. So I was about to say that. So for that class to have been a part of that national championship, Derek Johnson was a part of that team. Cedric Benson wasn't a part of that team. You had had played 4 years. You couldn't leave early like those guys did to be able to get that national championship. So you wanted to either play 4 years or had the red shirt your freshman year in order to be a part of that national championship team. Like you said, Cedric Griffin. Did you say Cedric Griffin? Who else did you say wasn't ranked? Michael Huff?
Michael Huff, yeah.
Yep, at Irving Nimitz High School. Yep, very, very lowly rated. Yep. That's what I'm saying. Like, so this is wonderful. This is what builds championships is 10 out of the top 15 players in the state of Texas. But you can't miss on the other guys either. You got to consistently be good. That's why I said never poo-poo on a 4-star. Because, again, there's only 30 recognized 5-stars generally per class. What we say, 35, 36, 35, 28, 29. This is from 2013 to 2021. Anywhere from the lowest was 27 or 26, and the highest was 36 as far as 5-star players in the country. So your program is going to be built on 4 stars, high 3 stars if you need them, and the ability to develop those players once they get there.
I'm going down memory lane with these classes here. I love it. Now I've moved on to 2004. I just kind of wanted to bring up some of these guys, man, from these other from these other years, man, that kind of led us to where we were at in the mid 2000, really 2004, 2005. We're talking about Rose Bowl, on to the national championship. Obviously Rose Bowl beat Michigan with the last second field goal there, and then move on to 2005 to a national championship in that same Rose Bowl. But yeah, it's crazy to kind of think of these guys, man, and where we can currently go with the program. But I don't think it changes if you have the same regime in there that you had last year. This stuff doesn't happen. And I think you hit the nail on the head earlier. I think that the individuals that are out there talking to the administration are like, hey, this 2022 class is probably one of the better classes we've had in the state of Texas in a long time. If we're not going to be able to recruit these guys, we're going to have to change coaches, man. And they did what they had to, man. And they brought somebody in here that's that I don't think he sleeps, man. I think Sark After Dark is a real thing, and I like the way that I think the biggest thing I like is that when they get on Twitter, when they post something on Twitter, I don't know if someone has all these coaches like Twitter like logins, but it's consistently all of them all at one time, and it just starts a trend, and then it goes on for a while, which they did the other night with that wonderful made video that they had where he said, what did he say? They're going to come, I promise. You know what he says? They're going to come, I'm going to promise. Yeah. Which is beautiful.
So real quick, the guys that are on campus, if they haven't redshirted currently, 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021. 2018, the number 3 team in the or number 3 class in the country. Number 9 in the 2019, the number 3 class in the country. 2020, the number 8 class in the country, and then last year, 2017 or 2021, 17th ranked class in the country. So you're talking about an average of 7.25 in class per year. So again, last year we were in that top 5 blue chip ratio. I don't know what being average the 7th best class in the country gives you as far as blue chip ratio. It probably drops you at number 7 by my way of thinking. But so yeah, you're not too far off. Again, 18 was a 3, 19 was a 3, 20 was an 8, and then this last class was a 20, was a 17. And that's why I feel like that. And it's sad. Most people would like to be the number 1 team in the country because, again, you were the number 1 team in the Big 12 in 18, number 1 team in the Big 12 in 19, number 1 team in the Big 12 in 20, and you fell back to number 2. So again, you just got to take that talent, develop that talent to get where you want to be, and that's competing for where they should be, which is competing for Big 12 championships. But yeah, so it's not. I think it is.
It's not, and I think where I'm most excited about this, really, the program moving forward, is the development with these coaches. The guys that have been on national championship programs, the guys that have been head coaches. There's guys that have been at the NFL level. To me, that's what's important because they know exactly what is needed to be at the NFL. You're talking about Bo Davis, defensive line guy who was with Detroit Lions, Kyle Flood that was with Atlanta, Steve Sarkisian who was with Atlanta, and then you have a whole bunch of national championship guys that are on the team.
Terry Joseph's brother was a head coach in the NFL. Was a head coach in the NFL. I mean, again, we got another $5 super chat guy. I feel like we need to shout out Stephen Shell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep up the great content, man. We appreciate you listening and really, really thank you for the $5. Again, me and Clint have always talked about times like this with COVID and then Snowvid and not knowing, with a whole lot of life events that kind of hit us in the last couple of years, money's hard to come by. So for you to donate $5 to our channel, really, really, really appreciate it. Working hard again to try to bring you Texas football content. And again, this is our favorite time of the year. Like we get in after it once the season starts, and we'll talk pregame shows and post-game shows and matchups and position groups and all that stuff that comes with hosting a show like this during the football season. But this is the lifeblood of the program. This is where me and Clint really fell in love with college football. Was recruiting, was following a kid from their sophomore year when they first said, hey, I'm interested in going here, to their junior and senior year, essentially where Malik Murphy in this 2022 class is. They're coming into their senior year of high school. They're projected to be a certain level of player, and we watched their senior year of high school and where it projects them to come into college. And this is what we really like talking. So
I was going to talk to Jeremy about this probably this evening or probably tomorrow. I'm going to actually be out of town this weekend, but I was out of town before, and I'm doing a show from Cancun, Mexico, when we first started this, and so I'll take my stuff with me just in case some stuff pops off this weekend. I'll be out of town, but I think next week I was going to talk to Jeremy about this, and I think we'll probably start maybe talking spring ball a little bit, talking probably positions. I think we'll probably talk offensive line first. Jeremy will be really excited about that. I think we'll talk about who we think is going to start coming out of spring ball, going into probably the summer, and then what the changes are from the summer to the fall. So we'll probably give who we think's probably going to be on that number 1 team going into spring, knowing it probably could change out of spring, but we're definitely going to talk that. And then we'll kind of go through the position battles as we see them moving forward. Starting probably next week, start doing some videos on that. And then probably just keeping up with this recruiting train, because I just don't see the recruiting train stopping. It's something that's going to be with us all the way, through next year. I think I think someone said it best earlier. It's all about winning. It's all about winning. It really is. That's what's going to keep these guys in the fold on your recruits committed to you. But it's also what's going to build, keep that momentum going. Is winning these games, man. And I think this is not a rebuild. Sarkisian didn't come into a rebuild. He came into a reload. I think Casey Thompson's a hell of a quarterback. I think he's going to have an opportunity to do great and wonderful things. You got probably the best running back in the nation in Bijan Robinson. To me, it's all about where that offensive line sits currently right now. But it's not a rebuild. It's a reload, and I think that's what's going to keep the momentum going in recruiting.
Yeah, we'll do that too, Jesse. I'll do that one for you. Even if Clint doesn't come on with me, I'll do a NCAA tournament basketball selection Sunday show. That'd be cool. See where they are in the bracket, see the possible matchups they have as they move to the tournament, and kind of probably won't go through all 64 ball clubs that are scheduled to compete, but definitely walk, like say they're in the East bracket and the number 1 seed is Baylor or Gonzaga or whoever. We could probably walk up matchups, to who they play in the first round. Probably going to be a 4 seed at this point. I think they said last night's game against Kansas was a battle for to not drop to the 5 line, and we won that basketball game. So definitely talk that as well. Jesse gets me fired up about basketball. And baseball's got a game tonight against BYU. Get off that schneid. Get off that 0-3 schneid. Again, they play tough baseball teams like Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and don't remember the third team, Arkansas. Hey, so I like this. We got a super chat with a question. Go ahead, buddy. With
the question, yeah, and I like the question actually, and I've already I read it, so I'll let you give you a minute to get your thoughts together here on this. What would need to happen to see joint training camps in college? Who would you want to see us paired up with? So probably if you're looking at it being close and being able to step up in the competition or equal competition, I would probably say just go east, man, to Baton Rouge.
I was going to skip over. That's exactly the school I was thinking about, because you want that SEC type level competition. You don't want to play anybody in or mess with anybody in conference, in my mind. And the team out east don't want none of that. So yeah, I almost think you'd have to go to LSU, maybe up to Arkansas, because nothing out west is, because the logistics of doing that, unless you wanted to meet somebody halfway type deal. But yeah, I would think that'd be great. Basketball does that a lot of times. They'll play these behind closed doors, no fans, exhibitions prior to the basketball season. I knew Texas played Gonzaga a couple of years ago. I think they played North Carolina. They played A&M, I think, in a closed door, no fans basketball game in preparation for the season. But yeah, I think LSU's number 1 choice I'd go with.
Texas A&M is not an option. They're not an option to me. They're going to have to pick another team because to share a training camp with Texas A&M, it's just finicky to me. It'd be weird. You know what I'm saying? It's a rival. It's a rival of yours, and to go share training camps and do all that and stuff. It's finicky because of its recruiting situation. Because if you look at right now in the nation, A&M sits at number 4 with 7 recruits. Oklahoma is currently sitting at number 6 with 6 recruits, and then Texas is sitting at number 7 with 6 recruits in the nation. So you have top 3 programs that are going to compete with each other for all these recruits currently sitting in the top 10 in the nation. It would just be finicky for me to be like, oh yeah, we're going out to College Station, or we're going to meet somewhere in the middle and do some joint training session. To me, it's LSU. They're the closest to you. Quick flight or drive to Baton Rouge, or meet somewhere in the middle and do that. Do I see it happening? Nah, it probably wouldn't happen like it does in the NFL, where you're doing these, or like minor league baseball, where everybody's kind of in one location and you're sharing the same field with everybody, kind of doing split squad games.
I'd probably do 2 or 3 practices, similar to what when Dallas trains out in California and they hooked up with Oakland. Now the Las Vegas Raiders, but when they were out in Oakland and Los Angeles, they used to pair up with them for a couple of days, have a couple of practices and a scrimmage. I think LSU would be 1, and then Arkansas would be 2. I think LSU, you're also competing for same recruits. I'm not so sure Arkansas has that leverage at this point to compete with you for the best of the best in Texas. So probably LSU 1 for the competitive factor and that kind of thing, but probably Arkansas would be number 2 for me. And it's kind of cool to reminisce about Texas, Arkansas, Southwest Conference kind of stuff as well.
Good question, though. I like that question. We've never really even talked about that before. It kind of goes back to, what's going to happen here in a couple of years with conference alignment, conference realignment. To me, you create 4 power conferences. To me, go ahead, Jim.
And something else I was thinking about is that me as a defensive guy, if I want somebody to come and wear me out preseason, it might be somebody who has a philosophy similar to Oklahoma, because a lot of those pros, whatever Lincoln Riley calls his offense, that spread offense. I'd like to see a whole lot of that in the offseason if I was Pete Kwiatkowski. I would look at and see who provides me a look prior to games that matter that could set me up for success. It'll help me understand my talent to go against a system like that, and then 2, it would help me again game plan for something like that. So yeah, I might even not commit to a certain school, but commit to a certain offense or defense, whatever I thought my team needed the most. Whether it was our offense going against a certain defense or defense going against a certain offense, but to scheme or to bring an opponent in that would test my what I would feel is a weakness of my team at a specific time or year, just versus a particular school.
But I think what makes it important is I think that's what Steve Sarkisian gives Pete Kwiatkowski now in spring spring ball is that he's going to test that defense with his all gas no brakes offense. You know what I'm saying? And he's going to throw things out there. Again, that's one of the reasons Steve Sarkisian hired Pete Kwiatkowski. He said he's one of the hardest defensive coordinators to go against. And I think that's important. And I think it's going to give it, again, it comes back to iron sharpening iron, man, is that your defense is going to go against a really good offense, and your offense should be going against a really, really good defense, which is going to make you better going into the season and more prepared to play these teams.
No, Lando, it's just hypothetical. We were asked in a super chat, if Texas was to practice against somebody and maybe scrimmage somebody in the spring, who would we figure would be a good opponent to match up with? And we said LSU would both be our primaries, and then I said for a secondary in Arkansas, and then I thought about, that's what led to the discussion of me saying, I might not necessarily pick a team, but a scheme that I think I'm going to see in the college football season that might help me prepare a certain facet of my football team that I don't think I'm going to get, like Clint said, intra-squad or with a scout team look.
I don't know what they're talking about here.
I don't know.
Kind of go through the chat here, and they're all chatting. Somebody losing their hair. John Wheeler said, "I heard Oklahoma's called way North Texas."
That's what
I was chatting in the thing tonight at school. Hoskino said it's hard to evaluate who the best defensive players are when you're going against a pretty hard scheme to stop, because even the best defensive players will look average against top offenses, and I think that's the way it looks these days. Somebody was talking about earlier. I think Hoskino brought up another point. He said it seems like these defensive guys are starting to go to Oklahoma, but that's what happens when you're starting to show a trend of getting better on defense, and they have over the last couple of years. Man, they've gotten some really good, talented guys on that defensive line. Defensive secondary is still pretty shoddy, but their defensive line and their linebacker play has been really, really well over the last couple of years. And if you do that, those commits are going to see that. They're going to want to go to your program.
Oh, Johnny done turned it into a cowboy show. It's like I saw Todd France, who's Dak Prescott's what do we call him, agent. I saw some talk about that. I totally agree with you, Lando. They should have got that done 2 years ago, because now it's really going to be hard to settle for a number that's. I mean, to me, this last season showed they have to sign him, but now what they're going to sign him for is not going to allow them the flexibility that they probably could have got 2 years ago for signing him originally. But I don't know football and the salary cap near as much as I know college football with no salary cap and just scholarship limitations. But yeah, I got a little Cowboy talk going on in the chat as well.
Marcus Will said the Big 12 is getting better at D and the SEC is getting better at offense. Strange world we live in. No, I think what's happening to the Big 12 is they've started scheming better for the offenses in these damn 2-4-6s and these 3-3-2-5s and all these other exotic defenses, and showing different looks. I think
the body types.
And body
types
types.
Change.
Like Patterson he's been bringing in at TCU for a long time, and now Oklahoma State doesn't even recruit cornerbacks or safeties. They recruit what they call defensive backs, and that's just a body style. And then they'll figure out when they get them on there, they'll figure out where their best position is based on how they play in practice.
Bryce Anderson's one of those guys.
Yeah.
Bryce Anderson has just as much film as a corner as he does as a safety. He has more film as a zone read quarterback than he has at both. But yes, the size of the defense, again, the Maurice Blackwells, the Marvin Overshones, the guys, you don't see 240-pound, 250-pound, 260-pound linebackers anymore. You see guys who can stand up. Again, Joseph Osai is a great example of that. Get him out of that second level, put him in the first level, and let him create havoc on the left tackles and the right tackles that make up the Big 12. Again, 3 down linemen, one play, 2 down linemen the next, 4 down linemen the next. Again, down to dictate will mostly dictate that to you. But like you said, exotic stuff we talked about early last year. Give me as many different looks as you can with as many different personnel packages against UTEP so that I can, again, make myself more evolutionary as the season goes on.
Hey, I appreciate it, Cody Clark, 116, man. What's up to my fellow Texas fans? Jeremy Clint, y'all killing it. Yeah, thank y'all. Welcome to you, man. Appreciate you joining us tonight, man. He's from Beaumont area, Bryce Anderson, the Beast. And I can tell you that me and Jeremy think very, very highly of that Golden Triangle down there, man. And those football players come out of the Golden Triangle. Very, very highly.
Like I said, I kind of spoiled it so far, but the guys I've watched on film, and that means they've had a Texas offer and we feel like they're interested in coming. The 2 guys that have impressed me and popped on film in this recruiting class so far are Bryce Anderson and Devin Campbell. Devin Campbell, you can see it. Bryce Anderson, again, I'm not going to spoil it because hopefully sooner rather than later, there's a commitment corner out there that we're going to publish. But I think he's a very versatile athlete that can do a lot of things for the University of Texas in many different facets.
How many guys we got going in the draft from Texas?
From this year?
Yeah.
Coming up?
Yep.
I ain't even beginning to look at that yet, to be honest with you.
No, not this year. I think this. I think John Munoz is talking about currently now.
Oh, out of those Psy class?
Yeah.
Psy, Cosme. I mean, we're going to forget somebody. I mean, without the roster in front of me. And TQ's going to get drafted, I think.
I got 5. I got Cosme, Osai, TQ, Stearns, and Brown.
You don't have Sam Ellinger on that list?
I don't know if I have Sam Ellinger on that list.
Again, to me, I'm not going to just start giving names. No, because again, if you leave somebody off, again, I think Chris Brown is probably the most productive safety out of those 2. Again, it's going to come. I haven't seen combine footage of. I don't know how fast they're going to run. I can't tell you that right now. To be honest with you, I gotta have to go through and analyze what their numbers are, and then go back and kind of look at their production over the last 4 years to say specifically. And I can tell you during the season how I think they're doing, but once the season's over, I think a lot of dynamics come into that. And again, it only takes one program to fall in love with you and you get drafted. So. Number probably you're on it with about 5, but I'm sure we're omitting people. Brendan Eagles may be one of those guys who teams fall in love with his size speed combination. Production kind of fell off, but you could see the big play potential he's had at UT. And again, there's guys that have fallen through the cracks, like a Marcus Johnson who wasn't real productive, had one productive season for UT, who got drafted and is still in the NFL. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I would have thought little Jordan Humphrey would have got drafted the year that he came out. He was an undrafted free agent, as productive as he was. Why? Because his numbers didn't match his production. So I think it's too early to tell.
So, but while we're on this topic, I think what's important is when you're looking at a Steve Sarkisian, a Kyle Flood, Bo Davis, Pete Kwiatkowski, and you're looking at these guys as coaches, but you're also looking at them as developers. And I think the trust of front offices across the NFL are going to trust these guys more than what they probably going to trust the previous regime's coordinators. that make sense? And I think that has a lot to do with it, because if you're looking at Alabama, they trust that the guys go out and get Alabama. They're going to play really well. Ohio State has been really good developers of talent. Clemson's been really good developers of talent. So I think you build that trust with those front office guys, but be able to show that you can develop your players. But I think sometimes they go out on a limb based on who the coaches were in those programs.
Absolutely.
I think that has a lot to do with it. It's more trusting the guys that are developing you, that's going to get you to the NFL, not just your talent's going to get you to the NFL.
Yeah, when Nick Saban tells you I got a good guy in the secondary, and he has the Trayvon Diggs and the Marlon Humphreys and the Draco Patricks and just Landon Collins and the guys that he's produced from Alabama, and that's just four, like right off the top. You're going to listen to what he has to say. And I feel like Dwayne Akina was probably that guy back in the day with Texas secondary. We were talking about Michael Griffin, Cedric Griffin, Jammer, those guys that just continually flowed through this program in the secondary. When Dwayne Akina told you had a dog, you believe you had a dog, and you draft him. And we can definitely get back there.
Yeah, Kerstetter is playing this year.
Right now. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Kerstetter is playing this year. Somebody asked us if Kerstetter is playing this year. Kerstetter is definitely going to play this year. Kerstetter should have played right tackle last year, the entire season. That's what should have happened. So he'll be back in that right tackle position this year. And I think, again, we're going to talk probably offensive line depth, probably position battles. We'll probably do a tape show sometime next week. Again, I'm going out of town this weekend, but I'm going to take my stuff with me just in case some stuff pops. Hopefully it does over the weekend. Hopefully I have the Mike Roach effect. Mike Roach goes on vacation from 247 and then can start rolling in. I'm hoping Clint has the same effect as Mike Roach does.
That'd be awesome.
So that'd be really, really good. David Williams brings up a good point. And, we're getting back to talking about the linebackers and the size of the linebackers and as far as defenses in the Big 12 goes, because because linebackers are now commonly 6'2", 220 pounds. It is even more important that defensive linemen are big, athletic guys like Collins, which are crazy, crazy athletic. Vernon Broughton, another one, and dominant. Also think it's important that defensive front be a 4-down lineman. And I'm not sure if they have to be down linemen. I think you put stack 4 people on the line. And I think that because I think in Pete Kwiatkowski's defense, you're going to see probably 2 down linemen, and then the other guys are going to be standing up around the line. But I think you've got to force that pressure, especially with these quarterbacks, make them have to make quick decisions, and then have guys that can make plays behind them is important in Big 12 football. Really, the way they play offenses now is really to put as much pressure as you can on the quarterback, show as many different defenses as you possibly can, and get guys just floating all over the. It's really been don't break football and make them create pressure that's not actually there. To be honest with you.
Yeah, the only two guys that are consistently going to have their hand on the ground, I believe, we talked about this when we talked about our PK scheme, is going to be 93 and 99. It's Coburn and Sweat. Those two big boys. They're going to be interior line with their hand on the ground every play if they're on the football field. And Collins will move, Broughton will move. You got the young kids like Dorba that they're going to be utilized on the outside is what we knew as the jack. But yeah, so those two are definitely going to have their hand on the ground most time. But then we talked about the Qualls and the guys that Washington was able to develop. Danny Shelton's, the guys they sent to the pros that are, again, the same body type, 6'2", 6'3", 350 pounds, but could move. And that's just why they got drafted.
John Munoz said Texas wide receiver room has more people in there than my hometown has population. Who leads in sacks this year? Sacks is going to be Bimage. Bimage will lead in sacks this year. I think he'll lead in sacks. Let me see here. David Williams talking about Samuel Cosby and Joseph Osai being drafted in the first round would definitely create a significant advantage. I agree with that too. I really, really agree with that. And I think they have really good I think right now, I think it's really good shot that they will go in the first round. I think they keep moving Joseph Osai up. And I think, pro day stuff, Joseph Osai, does really good in pro day. I think there's going to be teams that want to take him just because of he's battery never stops. His engine keeps going kind of guy. And I think that's what you need.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about sacks. Who'd you say? You said Bimage?
Yeah.
Give me Collins. And again, I don't know what position they're going to have him. If he's going to be a 3 or if they're going to push him out wide. But at this current, I don't think Cobur's going to get maybe. I think it's going to come from Collins. And he's a big guy, but I think he could possibly do it.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
Devontae, we're not going to get into predicting wins and losses yet. Let's not do that. It's not February. It's too soon for that. I don't want to do that yet. But more to follow. Okay, more to follow. Let's get through spring. Let's get to spring. Start working into the fall, and we'll actually do a schedule breakdown with our wins and losses and so on and so forth.
Prediction preview.
I don't want to use the added term "want to know every way," but you need to worry about UL first, and you need to worry about who we have the second game. Arkansas is the second game. Arkansas and the third game. Yeah, third game is.
I'm not looking past Louisiana at this point. We're in February.
Yeah.
We're more focused on recruiting. We get through the spring, start working on summer conditioning. We'll start firing off those preseason prediction podcasts.
Working man says he's keeping his crystal ball in the garden. We start handing out crystal balls. Me and you, Jeremy, want to start handing out crystal balls?
No, but let the prognosticators prognosticate. Again, yeah. No, we'll just be ready when they do pop. For real, we'll be ready with analysis. You guys see it. We do commitment corners on every commitment we get. So have an idea. Again, we start watching film the moment Texas offers them, and we feel like there's a chance. We start watching them and then trying to do an analysis of them so that we're ready if they do in fact commit to the school. But hey man, it's 8:00 and I have not eaten again. I didn't even get a chance to hop in the shower before this thing got started, and I know you've had a long day.
Yeah,
really.
So that's my cue. Jeremy said that's my cue to tell everybody, hey, y'all like this. If you enjoyed it, please like it. If you didn't like it, please hit that unlike button or that little thumbs down button. No, we appreciate y'all listening as always. You can find us on Twitter at TX Football Talk, on Facebook at Texas Football Talk, and on Instagram at Texas Football Talk. Again, follow us on Instagram. Me and Jeremy are looking at, we kind of pop up on Instagram Live sometimes without notice. So if you follow us on Instagram, you may catch some insider information on there that we may or may not have. So you can follow us. You can find us on Instagram at Texas Football Talk. But we appreciate y'all listening. It has been a hell of a week so far.
Hit that like button.
Yeah, hit that like button. Or if you haven't hit that subscribe button and you're listening to us, you're one of those 87 people here that haven't hit that subscribe button. Please hit that subscribe button. If you haven't told me, if you like our content, please tell somebody else about us. We appreciate it. It's an exciting time to be a Texas Longhorn fan. Appreciate everybody that gave us the super chats tonight. We appreciate y'all. And we will see you hopefully in the next few days. Hopefully something kicks off between now and then, and we get back on here and we talk about some exciting news. So we appreciate y'all listening as always. And y'all have a good night and hook 'em.
Hook 'em.